What's a good way to turn the insights that you've just shared with us into action?
Yeah, so many people, when they engage in politics, they do it after government does something they really don't like, right? So government does something and they get really upset about, and this is particularly true on a local level, but also true nationally as well. They get really upset. They go to their city council meeting, they yell and scream, or they do other posts on social media or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with responding to what government does, but the most effective activism is when you're being proactive, when you're saying, okay, here's something about my community I want to change. And then you develop an innovative solution to fix that problem, and then you advocate for that solution. The bike lane example in San Diego is a really good example of that, right? These were, bike lane advocates who said, we want more bike lanes. They came up with proposals to do it, and they were able to convince the government to actually implement those proposals, right? So elected officials do want to solve problems. It's in their interest to solve problems. So when they run for re-election or run for higher office, they can say, look, I solved this problem. So if you can offer an elected official a solution to a problem that they're dealing with, they're going to be receptive to that. Now, granted, they have other influences. They may not want to solve problems because elites are telling them not to solve it or whatever. I don't want to say that elected officials are always responsive, but you're more likely to be effective if you are able to be proactive and positive and say, I've got a solution to a problem. Here's why I think is a good solution, and then advocate for that solution. And for the activists I interviewed that did that, they were much more successful, and they got a lot more out of it, right? I mean, it's just so much more of a positive experience to say, yeah, I helped solve this problem than I yelled and screamed to stop government for doing something I don't like. That's the main thing I would argue for people who want to get involved in their communities is start with a problem that you want to solve and then do the research and to really think through what could be an effective solution to that problem and then advocate for that.
Yeah, well said. Good advice.